case you think that it was Yehoshua who came up with the notion of turning the other cheek, it actually states in Lamentations chapter 3 verse 30, let them turn the other cheek to those who strike them. Let them accept the insults of their enemies. But regardless, friends, this was not only the treatment that prophets like Isaiah had to experience when doing the will of God, but the treatment of virtually all messengers to the people of Israel who chose to put their life on the line to do the greater good, no matter what the consequence, not even excluding Yehoshua himself. So, what I'm saying is that I would see no issue with someone attributing this to Jesus or Jeremiah or Zechariah or anyone else who felt the calling placed in their life not to follow the status quo, but to stand for the greater good, to stand for Torah, the Word of God. However, what I do have a problem with is individuals solely, specifically aligning these chapters with the person of Yeshua as the only possible fulfillment of these words, especially when I've just demonstrated that chronologically, historically, and according to the context, this could only be referring to Isaiah. However, like I said, potentially these words are also applicable to virtually all of God's messengers. But anyways, continuing in the next chapter, Isaiah 51, we see the Almighty again comforting his servant Isaiah. It reads, therefore hear this, you afflicted one, made drunk, but not with wine. This is what the sovereign Lord says, your God who defends his people. See, I have taken out of your hand the cup that made you stagger. From that cup, the goblet of my wrath, that you will never drink again. I will put it into the hands of your tormentors who said, fall prostrate that we may walk on you, and you made your back like the ground, like a street to be walked on. So here again is making a distinction with the afflicted one, the one who was speaking the words of God to Israel, the one suffering for Israel. And friends, from here the narrative leaves us to what has become known as the Song of the Suffering Servant. In Isaiah 52 verse 13 it reads, see, my servant will act wisely. He will be raised and lifted up and highly exalted. Just as there were many who were appalled at him, his appearance was too marred to be a man's, and his visage to be human. So will the many nations exclaim, and kings shut their mouths because of him. For what they were not told, they will see, and what they have not heard, they will understand. And then, friends, in the beginning of chapter 53, we have wicked Israel speaking from their perspective. It states, who has believed what we have heard, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? Again, the message they were receiving from the prophet all along. He grew up before him like a tender shoot, like a root out of the ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by man, a man of suffering and familiar with pain, like one from whom people hide their faces. He was despised, and we held him in low esteem. Surely he took our pain and bore our suffering. So here it is stating that he took our pain, meaning physical pain, and bore our suffering. That means that we physically inflicted suffering on him and would not listen. Anyways, reading on. Yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him, and afflicted. But he was pained because of our rebellious sins. He was crushed through our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and through his wounds we were healed. Now let me interject here. In the following chapter, we will see that peace comes to Israel. So it must be Israel speaking here. We all like sheep have gone astray. Each of us has turned to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth. Now that he has been released from captivity and judgment, who could have imagined such a generation? And again, friends, we have to realize that this is being given almost as a legacy to Isaiah for how he suffered for his people who would not listen. A legacy that again does not exclude all other messengers who suffered for the sake of God. Okay, reading on, verse 9. He submitted himself to his grave like wicked men, and with the rich to his executions. though he had done no crime, nor was any deceit in his mouth. The Lord desired to oppress him and afflicted him. And though the Lord makes his life as an offering for sin, he will see his offspring and prolong his days. Again, Isaiah had children. And the will of the Lord will prosper in his hand. And after he has suffered, he will see the light of life and be satisfied. This, by his knowledge, my righteous servant will make multitudes righteous, and he will bear their iniquities. Therefore I will assign him a portion from the multitudes, and he will divide the mighty as spoils, because he poured out his soul for death, and being counted among the wicked, for he bore the sin of the multitude and prayed for the wicked. And friends, like I said, this describes the lives of the messengers of God, who, might I add, are also Israel. And although contextually this is referring to Isaiah, you can place the name of any righteous individual who suffered for the sake of heaven here. And this, of course, does not exclude Israel as a whole either, which is the reason that Israel is in Galut today, for failing to be a light to the nations, for failing to bring this world to the glorious age of peace through Torah.